Welcome back, everybody. BJ here, DG over there.
What's going on, everybody? Sometimes, as always, Chef the Ref.
Howdy. We got a rant coming up, as you can tell. And this rant is going to be started off right here with yours truly. I said it. I promised it. I'm making good on my word. Monday night, Raw. I'm sitting there peacefully watching it, enjoying it, just having a bunch of fun watching Monday Night Raw. And then music hits. I recognize it. It belongs to one Goldberg. Then I look up at the screen a little closer. Sure enough, guess who's walking out the freaking ramp? It's Goldberg. So, guess who picked up their remote and immediately pressed power, turned off his TV, and has not watched a stitch of WWE programming since? That's right. Your boy, Chef the Ref. And I will not watch WWE programming until after at least the Raw after Monday night, Raw after Saturday Night Main Event. Because I don't want to see Goldberg show up again the Monday night after, like he's going to. Because I just can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't have time for Goldberg. He came in here and why is he getting this title shot? There's no reason. Because he was due a retirement match. Big whoop. Whoopity-doo. I care about Goldberg's retirement match. If you want to do it, give it to someone who is, not the champion. Make it a non-championship match if you want to go. That's fine. If you really want to do that, whatever. Why is he getting a championship shot? No, doesn't deserve it. Didn't earn it. You had a bunch of people jumping through all these other hoops, trying to get their title shots here, there, everywhere. And who gets it by just walking in? Goldberg. Why? Make it make sense. Other people better than me, more established than me, have brought up the same points. They have louder mics. We got a little mic here. I admit that. However, just know, even the people with the little mics are still not impressed with this storyline. We're not caring. We don't, yes, Captain Heel, absolutely. Goldberg. That's all this is. Guys, do you got anything to add to this rant?
Yeah, no, give the title shot to someone who's fought for it, not someone who's been sitting at home for years.
My issue, as Chef greatly pointed out, is for me, it's not the issue that he's back because we've talked about it on the show. I've come to terms that it was going to happen, but why does he get the jump just to the front of the line for a championship match? Right. And on top of that, we could have kept Jay champion for like another month or two and then still done the title change right before SummerSlam. Have this shocking moment of, oh, you think it's going to be maybe Jay and Cody for the championship or something like that, whatever. Hey, Captain Heel, I wish they had brought Goldberg back instead. Great guy. Absolutely love him.
He is a wonderful
and
man.
He needs the paycheck.
Yeah, I bought his figure and he signed it for me very graciously. Yep. Got a picture of him punching me. So, yeah, Goldberg's a great guy. Would have had no problem with him coming in and challenging Gunther for the WWE title, or the world title, actually, more precisely. But, we know how both of these matches would have gone, but at least the Goldberg one would have been entertaining.
The one thing that I have found already entertaining out of this is, where is it?
The one thing.
It's his response from Gunther on social media where he's like, I'm next. Guess I can spare 3 minutes. So, God, am I hoping that Goldberg gets Goldberg by Gunther and just completely obliterated? Because my other issue now comes with having this match, and I think you guys will agree with me on this, is the fact that I feel like if Goldberg wins, what's the next immediate thing to happen? We get the Seth Rollins cash in. So you're pretty much taking away that surprise. and you're literally scripting us to it,
Mhm.
and literally telling us the finish of what all this is going to be.
Yeah.
Which
And
then, what does that say for Gunther that you took the title off of Jay just for him to lose it 6 weeks later? Roughly, it'll be by that point. Not even.
not even, not about a month.
Yeah, this title that most of the champions outside of the cash in on Drew at WrestleMania 39, where the whole thing with CM Punk
Mm-hmm.
was up to that point, that was the shortest reign, and it made sense. You know, everything has been very well done since introducing this championship, and we have the conversation regularly of where do we hold it? Is the WWE title just a bit higher, or do we hold them even? You know, and what does that say to the championship that you're going through all this just to get it back on Rollins, to where you could just have him cash in on Gunther still, just later down the road, where it would make more sense and not be as much of, oh, okay, we're calling it now. Like, I kind of want to call it now. Seth Rollins walks out of Saturday night's main event in Atlanta as the World Heavyweight Champion.
Which I'd be fine with that. I'd be much better than having Goldberg walk out with the championship, even if it means that the championship is passing through Goldberg. I don't want to see that at all. I would, if this is going to happen at Saturday Night Main Event, the only way I want it to happen, not that I will see it, but the only way I want it to happen would be Gunther retaining, and then Seth cashes in, because both guys have been beating the crap by that point. Yeah. I mean, it might be a 3-minute match, but you know, Goldberg's going to be heavy on top of Gunther for his 3 moves. So, you know, that it's going to be what it's going to be. But I want to see Gunther actually beat Goldberg, and fine, Seth cashes in, whatever. That's fine. But yeah, I'm still going to avoid through the next Monday Night Raw just to be safe.
It's just. Now, you would think that match doesn't need the championship.
No,
you know, because the way that within storyline that Goldberg's always been built up, especially in WWE, is who's next. It was the whole storyline through the streak. Who's next? And I just watched that entire streak. You know, with Kevin Nash ending it. And you look at how they had to end it because they didn't want him losing cleanly. Like, my fear is that none of this is going to be clean for him, and they're going to find a way to bring, which I don't want. I don't want him to, should it be in a championship match? Like,
they should have just announced a Goldberg retirement match, picked an opponent for him, and gone with that. People would have showed up for that. That would have been fine. You don't have to attach it to a championship. That's the main problem.
Yeah,
that's problem number one. I think
that, like, this match, a non-title match, because he's just a guy coming out and calling out Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had any other matches to prove that he can even hang with the world champion outside of his
or to prove that he can even do anything other than fall down on his face at this point.
And now,
I would love to see Goldberg take on Akira Tozawa or someone like that, just to, like, you know, make sure he's in ring shape.
Against Otis. Not Otis, Otis.
And then the other fear is, we know Goldberg matches aren't long matches. At the most, you maybe get 5 minutes, and maybe
he
7
could never go long back in
the
day, and he still can't go long now.
Right.
So
cardio didn't get better.
So let's just say he does defeat Gunther. What's that say for this monster heel and superstar you've built up since NXT UK as unstoppable? That over 85% of this man's career, he's held championship within the WWE, whether it was NXT or the main roster or NXT UK.
Yeah, fact.
What's that say that just Goldberg comes in and derails all that instantly? what
73
becomes
years
the
old.
fan perception of him.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. There's no reason for this specific match to happen. Sure, Goldberg versus Matt Riddle would have been 10 times better. But
I'll take it.
unfortunately, that Riddle's not in WWE anymore, so Goldberg's retirement match couldn't happen against him currently. If it happened against him 5 years ago, perfect. Go for it. But unfortunately, we don't have a time machine to do that.
No, because
Well-
5 years ago is when they were bringing him back and having Bray Wyatt job out to him.
Yeah, if Bray had retired him then, that would have been fine. Just send him to the basement of the funhouse permanently.
But yeah, let's talk about some of the Raw you did get to see now before you
Sure,
hit that
what happened
53.
before that?
Just to point out for the record that Chef doesn't watch live. He waits a little bit and then starts it. And that I literally said in our group chat that 53-minute mark, you're going to turn it off.
Oh, I was expecting it. I knew it was coming, but I had to watch through up till that moment it happened. So I did, and it happened, and I clicked power, and I won't power up Netflix again until the 2 Monday nights later.
So some other things that happened on Raw, the opening with Liv and Dom and EO coming out, that I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens with living this championship in the future. I can't wait. You know, she's going to be a powerhouse.
Yeah, what happened.
What happened? What happened? I missed what
Yeah.
happened.
So we'll get there. We'll get there though. But I guess we could talk about now. The Liv Morgan was having a match with Kairi Sane later on in the show.
And Liv, I'm sure Liv did great with that match and no problems whatsoever. And she got the 1, 2, 3 over Kairi, and lifted both arms up in championship celebration.
I mean, the match lasted all of maybe 30 seconds, and when
that's dominance by Liv.
It's a shame that we actually do know that you know what happened because we said it in the group chat. But
the bad news, everybody, is Liv is out for a minimum of 3 months?
Yeah. And it didn't look like she did anything wrong. It didn't look like Kairi Sane did anything wrong. It looked like just the landing, the pressure at the wrong angle or something very minor.
Yeah, it was just the way she landed. Her shoulder popped out of the joint.
Yeah, maybe this is actual karma now, striking back for what she did to Rhea.
So does that mean Roxanne is going to steal Dom while she's out?
Probably.
The other question.
Raquel still has the tag team championship.
Yeah, so where does that go?
You just have Roxy defend alongside Raquel.
That's the logic.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think it would make sense.
Finn goes to Adam Pearce and gets it done.
Reluctant tag team champions defending. Love that angle.
Well, reluctant on Raquel's part. Roxy, I think, will be into it. She's going to try and keep getting Raquel into it. And by the time Liv gets back, Raquel is actually into it.
Something else you did get to see on Raw. What did you think of Asuka winning the Fatal 4-Way for Queen of the Ring?
Very happy to see Asuka back, number one, and number two, moving on to the Queen of the Ring semifinals. So
I love that she has her original theme back.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, very good. I loved seeing that new mask that she had. Was that by one of Bray's guys?
I think she does her. No, I think she does her own stuff.
Okay. I thought I had heard someone had.
I did hear that he did that for her.
Okay. Yeah.
I know he did something else recently for somebody else. But, I mean, he could have done that for Asuka, but I know a lot of her masks in the past she's done herself.
Okay.
He definitely did something for someone on the show, but I can't remember exactly what, but I think that might have been it, actually.
Okay. Cool. So I didn't completely hallucinate that one.
No, I definitely, half heard that today.
Okay. So he's got a whole truth somewhere.
Well, here's something that you would have missed during the because
Post
of you turning off
Goldberg.
Raw was AJ Styles and JD had a really good match.
Okay.
But something that was more said on commentary.
It's not
Corey
JD's
Graves
fault. He was born with the skull of a Minecraft character.
And then his reply that it's not his fault that Corey gets benched every time Pat McAfee shows up for work.
Yeah, I do prefer Corey to McAfee. We all know this, but yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah, stuff like this is just great. I absolutely love it.
I see no lie on either of their part.
Yeah, that's using social media for good.
Yes, chaotic good.
Yes. Yeah, we had Bailey come out also on Monday Night Raw. Cut her, typical return babyface promo.
Going after Becky Lynch, I presume.
Yep. I mean, even all this whole thing's becoming interesting now because
she didn't even answer Lyra's text.
Yeah. But,
So we're heading for a 3-way.
No, at the moment, next week, but Becky Lynch will be defending against Bailey.
Okay.
And then that's where Lyra kind of came in a little bit after that. And we see their interaction.
Got it.
And also next week, Dom defends his Intercontinental Championship against AJ Styles.
All right. Okay.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to you guys letting me know how it went.
We
had candidate for match of the week.
Yes. We had a nice backstage interaction with Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross this week. That looks like, which we'll talk about a little bit later, with Sami Zayn going after his match on SmackDown this week.
Okay.
But I'm very interested to see where that goes. I'm hoping it leads somewheres.
Yeah, Karrion Kross deserves to go somewhere finally.
I'm hoping for the Sami Zayn heel turn, and maybe we see them team up a little bit, or just carrying gang in his head in the general purpose. And just like everybody else, for whatever reason, they've eventually turned heel.
Mm-hmm.
The King of the Ring fatal 4-way, the last one, Jey Uso was the last person. Like, Jey Uso has to go through King of the Ring. He just can't get a rematch. Why is Cody got to go through King of the Ring to get a rematch? But moving on.
Who knows? Moving right along.
Jey Uso defeats Bronson Reed, Rusev, and Sheamus. And this match
was impressive roster to beat.
Yeah, and this had a lot of. You had run-ins from Breakker, from Zayn, from Penta, from LA Knight. You have Seth Rollins coming out angry, and him and Cody kind of have a stare down.
Okay. So I'm assuming this was the main event, end of the show, cluster F.
Yeah, because a lot of the King of the Ring stuff will continues on SmackDown.
Got it. More cluster F-iness up there.
Yeah. Wouldn't mind talking some NXT real quick before moving on to SmackDown.
Sure.
It was a very lady-led NXT show this week with Evolution coming up. They had the Fatal 4-Way qualifiers this week, which were all great matches. Thea Hale put up a great fight against Jada Parker, but lost in the end. Lash Legend and Kalani Jordan was really good.
Who took that one?
Lash Legend won that.
Nice.
I'm kind of rooting for Lash in this. Izzy Dame and Zarya had a great match as well.
Izzy Dame win that one?
Yep.
For the calling? Yep. Okay.
And then,
so she's definitely ascendant.
And then Jordan Grace defeated Lola Vice, which was another great match to get into that Fatal 4-Way.
I could see that being a good match, but you definitely want to really start pushing Jordan Grace.
We had the whole continuation of the tension with Luca and Tony D'Angelo as well.
Okay.
You know, which even
Right.
led to them having to fight off Stacks and some of his security or whoever they were. And
His thugs.
Luca accidentally hit Tony going
Mm,
for one of them. But that
going
brings up
for
an
one of them.
well, this brings up something interesting as well we can talk about.
Sure.
Is that Stacks and Noam Dar were scheduled to have a Heritage Cup match this week.
Okay.
But now Noam Dar has been forced to vacate the Heritage Cup due to injury. And now, thanks to Luca, it will be Tony D'Angelo taking that spot. So on NXT this week, we get a rematch between Tony D'Angelo and Stax Lorenzo. And this time it'll be for the Heritage Cup.
Poor Noam Dar can't catch a break. Just been injured since he came over to America. So, poor bastard.
And
I mean, he had like a nice chunk of time healthy with Metaphor.
but they
Yeah.
really weren't using him all that well then, you know? Like
Yeah.
and use at that point we still kind of we're still fusing and bringing NXT and NXT UK together.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you still had some of the remnants of that left. And then we had a
Right.
really good storyline with the cup that
Uh-huh.
featured just them being around him before Lash broke out. And I felt like they all broke out, and it was a shame that half of the Metaphor got released.
Yeah.
Like I would have said, or Mensa would have been at the bottom, but that I thought he had a lot of upside.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So but
yeah,
if he had enough time to, develop and everything, who knows what could have been.
nature of the business, though. Nature of the business.
Yep.
But I think
Happens all the time.
Stax walks out with the Heritage Cup.
Through chicanery or clean?
Oh, I think Luca's going to turn this whole trust issue.
So chicanery it is.
Yes, some type of chicanery. Oh, whoops, clicking the wrong thing here.
That's fine.
All
You
right.
can keep me covered up, whatever.
We had the 6-man tag, Inamura, Briggs, and Elijah defeating Trick Williams, AJ Francis, and Wesley, who was subbing for Casey Navarro because he was dealing with an injury. I guess a minor injury because he was at the Pittsburgh tapings wrestling yesterday for TNA Impact. So
okay, well, I guess little fella recovered quickly.
So something interesting out of this: Inamura pinned the TNA champion Trick Williams in the match to win it.
Interesting.
And he was able to, instead of Santino was going to give him a title shot. Instead, he gave his title shot to Briggs. So next week on NXT, it will be Briggs versus Trick Williams for the TNA championship.
Interesting.
I like it.
Okay, so NXT guys are going to be passing around the TNA belt.
I mean, I don't think he wins it. I don't think he wins it by any means.
No, but potentially that's what we could see, according to, the way things are
Santino
going.
approved the match.
Okay.
Santino booked it.
So it's been authorized.
Yep. If it was Adam Pearce, it would be official.
Yeah.
And then closing NXT this week was the Blake Monroe NXT contract signing.
Okay.
As soon as she signs that contract, Fatal Influence comes out. They have a good choice of words with each other. Then they end up putting Blake Monroe through a table. And that's how NXT goes off the air.
Welcome, Blake Monroe.
Who? Who's Mariah? Mariah Carey?
Yeah, not high notes, but yeah, sure.
So I didn't get to catch NXT this week, but I heard that Jordan Grace got Def Rebel.
She got new
they
music.
They changed her music because the opening sirens of it sounded too close to Braun Breaker's theme. So
Makes sense.
they just want to make sure that there's a distinguish there. It wasn't
But-
all that much of a change. Like, it is their version of her theme song now. That's
From
all.
what
it
I
is.
hear, there were fired Def Rebel chants. People were not happy with it.
I mean, I've heard worse. They didn't spell her name out at the beginning or say her name or something with it, because, when you make all your theme songs sound the same, I guess you have to spell out who's coming out,
Yeah. 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 Hopefully, like, if I ever started to write music for wrestlers, I could actually figure out how to diversify the sounds of who was coming out, be a little more Jimmy Hart.
Well, so I do know you did watch AEW this week.
I did indeed watch AEW this week.
So what stuck out to you from AEW this week? Because for me, I just saw a bunch of multi-man across the board for AEW, multi-man matches.
Well, it was Grand Slam Mexico this week, so it was AEW and CMLL. We need to mention that right off the top there.
Yes. Yeah, no, and I get why, but a 14-man tag that could have been broken down into a couple more matches or something. I get it. You just ran back to back 4-week shows.
I appreciate the shorter show. I appreciate the shorter show. Don't get me wrong at all.
They cut it down by about 75 minutes this week. I give them credit. Yeah. Maybe we can get back to the 2-hour, 10-minute thing at some point. That would be nice.
Yeah. Well, you also this week, right at the top of the show, you had Hangman Page come out and address the crowd in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was really cool.
You had the announcers translating for the English crowd. Like, they let Hangman say what he was going to say, and then the announcers translate. That was really cool. And they just did it. No interruptions. Yeah.
My notes from
props to Hangman.
Was literally Adam Page in-ring promo in Spanish. That's literally my notes at that point.
I actually took it as an opportunity to practice my Spanish listening and translation skills, because it's been a while since I've had someone just deliver a monologue of any sort that I've had a chance to listen to in Spanish. So being able to just sit there, listen to Hangman Page in his slow Spanish that was pretty much like high school Spanish teacher level that he was speaking to his students. I could appreciate that. I could listen along. There were only a couple of things that I missed, but the guys were right there translating everything for us. So, but yeah, I appreciated that. That was really cool.
I'll say this, like the 14-man tag match, cool. 7-on-7 matches, though, just don't work for me. Like, it felt like the match went too long to where you could have done like an 8-minute match, just let everybody hit their spots, get the crowd going, and be done with it.
There were a lot of introductions in that match.
That was more than half the time that had to be more than half the time that was allotted for that segment was just entrances. And even my notes, I'm like, the team with Brody King beats the team that was with the Cows fam because there were too many names.
Right. Yeah, it was pretty crazy how many people they actually had to introduce in order to get that match actually going. But yeah, man, I was fine with the length of it and everything. I mean, for a 14-man match, everybody's got to get in the ring at some point. So they did what they had to do, got everybody in there for a couple of moves, and match over and on to the next. And I thought it was a well-paced show for how much they managed to cram in there and what they were trying to do with the show.
Yeah, it's just a lot to pay attention to, especially when everything's just starting to go bonkers all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, you got to expect that to happen too. So, yeah. But No, I did actually enjoy the show this week. I'll discuss more. Maybe a match of the week contender came out of this here show for me this week because I didn't watch any WWE programming.
The Okada and Mark Briscoe put on a really good match on Dynamite this week.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that match. By the way, the 4 million peso high flying fatal 4-way match.
yeah, yeah, sure.
So Hologram won 4 million pesos, which translates roughly to $208,611.60 here in America.
Still a nice chunk of change. Yeah, 200 grand for a night's work. Sure, I'd take it.
What did you think about the whole Mystico and MJF thing? And that was a thing going through the show too, him taking masks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that there right there is my match of the week contender out of the show. Yeah, this was a really good match. They did it really well. And MJF actually did get that mask and put it on right there.
He was so good at working the crowd that he actually got attacked at his hotel after the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, MJF. Yeah.
I mean,
once again,
just the best
proving
he is
his
at what he
credentials.
does.
Speaking of MJF, WWE requested Happy Gilmore 2 trailer without MJF for Raw.
That's just, pardon my French, that's a bitch move. That's my analysis there.
Yeah, like, who cares? Like,
you know what? I bet you they could just CGI the Miz's face onto him and nobody would notice.
Awesome.
And I mean, I guess something else that goes into this real quick before we continue. WWE upset over AEW talent appearing on Miz hosted American Gladiators reboot for Amazon.
Awesome.
In another bitch move.
Yes, exactly. 2 bitch moves by WWE this week. We've corrected the headlines.
It's Wardlow, so Wardlow can do stuff. You're just not bringing him back on TV. I'd rather
honestly, I've forgotten
Wardlow.
he was an AEW talent at this point because he hasn't been used in so long.
But in all honesty, at this point, I don't even think he's under contract anymore. And it's just one of those things that just never really. No, everybody's like, oh, okay. We'll wait till something actually happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, whatever, these guys can make money working across the aisle, so to speak. Let them do it. Who cares if they're working on a third-party project together that they just both happen to be cast in? Who cares? They're both making money. They're both bringing attention to both products. So whatever. People discover something new. They know that one person's hosting something, and then they find out about another thing. Why is that bad? Weren't we just saying that couple years ago? We were saying competition and all this stuff is great for wrestling. What happened in the last week? Did I miss it? Did this happen when Goldberg showed up and I turned off WWE? What you got there?
What the?
You got a confused look is what you got there.
Yeah. Well,
everything okay?
That's what I'm wondering.
Anyway, another thing that disappointed me this week is Mercedes Moné winning another championship.
Yet another.
I get at this point, I get it. I really do, because if you're going to have her take that first pinfall, it should happen at All In, and not here. But there's other ways you could have done it.
Yeah. Yeah, have a DQ finish, something like that.
Like anything, like it's just like, so when's she gonna have time to defend all these championships?
She's gonna have to be in like all over the world every month. Like she's gonna have to be jet setting all over the place and racking up points on her credit cards, I guess. So she takes some good vacations at the end of it, though.
I did enjoy the Tony Storm vignette, like old detective style vignette that they showed,
Yeah.
and then her just appearing behind her.
In that just red, that striking red trench coat and hat.
Where in the world is timeless Tony Storm?
Yes, exactly.
And then she cut a promo in that exact same outfit on Collision this past last night, which was pretty good. That was one of the highlights of Collision last night.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch Collision yet. I had other stuff I was doing after work yesterday.
Didn't miss anything.
So. Okay. Apparently, I missed a Tony Storm promo.
Yeah, you can find it online. You don't need to invest the hour into seeing that.
That's fair.
The 10-man tag that made it in the show wasn't bad, though.
Yeah. So in general, I thought the whole show, it was the best entire show that I saw all week, I would say. I did watch the full TNA show as well, which was also a good show. But, I thoroughly enjoyed, Grand Slam Mexico this year. It was completely different from the usual Grand Slams that they've had up in New York at Arthur Ashe, because obviously going to Mexico, crossing over with CMLL, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, they weren't crossing over with AAA anymore because WWE would get really upset about that, I think.
Well, you bring up TNA. TNA did have a really good show this week.
Yes, they did. They did have a really good show.
Yeah, Eric Young and Sami Callihan was a good match to start that show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and then, of course, you had the multi-man tag match at the end of the show with a little bit of crossover between Trick Williams and Joe Hendry in that match as well.
Yeah, the return of the Champions Challenge, which is something that TNA did back in the day, was one of their big highlight things when they would do it for an Impact, and it was a cool match to see back. I thought it was very well done because you get, even though the one side, the challenger side per se, was all non-champions, you did have Steve Macklin on the other side, who is a babyface. So when you do these matches, you're going to line up with very weird alliances between the champions.
Yes, you will.
But they did a really good job.
Fun thing to have happen. Yes, they did. So
we also had another hometown man.
What was that?
The hometown man had another appearance this week.
Obviously, Cody Deaner.
Yeah, obviously. That's about as obvious it's him as it is that Chad Gable is a Starbucks drink. Had an interesting run-in backstage moment with Indy Hartwell and Tessa Blanchard as well on TNA this week.
Yeah, will Indy be the one to take her down?
I don't know. We had the return of Jake Something.
Good to see him back. He's been missed. So he's a good big guy that they have on the roster there. I'm looking forward to. It seemed to be in the middle of a pretty decent push when he got hurt, and he's back, and let's see what he can do. Hopefully he's.
And you're
100%.
pairing him up with Mance Warner. Those are going to be some hard-hitting matches. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say that they've had matches in GCW. At one point,
I would not be surprised to find that somewhere in the library.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had Santino Marella announce that Mike Santana's chin is up, and he'll be returning next week facing AJ Francis in a street fight.
Okay.
That should be something fun there.
Yep, definitely. There was something else.
TNA, the Order 4 Summit was pretty interesting.
Yes, that's what I wanted to mention. Mustafa Ali's just starts tearing into everybody in Order 4, starting with Tasha Steele, and he makes everybody apologize, and it comes to the end, and I forget what the last guy's name is, but he brought up every valid point against Mustafa Ali, and paid the price for it a little bit, but we'll see where this whole storyline goes, and if is Order 4 just completely break. Is Mustafa Ali just going to start replacing people? What's going to happen? We'll have to keep watching to find out.
Oops. I think I read spoilers.
So there were tapings in Pittsburgh. I think I know what you're talking about. We won't talk about it here on air. But I've
Not
seen
yet.
a lot of pictures. Yeah. Because even if we know, I didn't come across it.
I don't know yet.
I didn't realize there were spoilers until just now.
Until you were like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Let me put it like this: what you're
This has happened.
What you're talking about? I looked to see if there was like a TNA show being broadcast last night.
So it was what happened at the last TV taping
from the Impact tapings in Pittsburgh this week.
So we will see this next week.
I didn't expect to happen in TNA.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see what happens. All right. So we'll see what happens on Thursday when when TNA gets broadcast.
Yes.
And then we will discuss it next week.
Yeah, Collision was an okay show. I would say the best outside the Tony Storm promo was the Swerve and Shane Taylor match. That was a really good match last night.
Yeah, but I always forget Shane Taylor exists, and then he pops up for a match every half of a year or so.
I don't know. I guess over the past couple of weeks between Fatal 4-Ways, Triple Threats, and all that stuff, I'm kind of getting burnt out on multi-person matches because I'm starting to see my attention shift, especially after Dynamite, and then I go to watch Collision, and John Moxley, AR Fox was okay, but then we go into an 8-man tag, and then Swerve Taylor, and then a 6-person intergender tag with Willow, Hologram, and Mark Briscoe taking on MXM and Taya Valkyrie.
Okay.
And then a tag team match with Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey defeating the Gates of Agony, which now they're going by the name Jet Speed. Bailey and
I like that. I like that.
And then the show main event with an 8-woman tag: Athena, Tekla, Megan Bain, and Penelope Ford defeating Thunder Rosa, TJ, and Queen Aminata. So you can, you don't book your Mexican star on the show in Mexico,
right?
You book her in Seattle.
Whatever.
I don't get it.
It's not like Rosa wanted to compete in Mexico, I'm sure.
I mean, we did see the return of the Outrunners to AEW TV.
Yes, we did.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm always happy to see those guys.
Oh, yeah.
VHS heroes.
But yeah, I guess we'll take a quick break here.
Sure.
Refresh the mental juices here. We'll try not to come back on a rant this time.
Yeah. No more loud noises to start things off, we promise. Well, not forever,
I don't
but
promise.
This episode. Like I said, not forever, but for the rest of this episode, no more starting things off with loud noises. We'll just build up with nice crescendos.
Well, we will be back.
I just wanted to take this microphone real quick. This is my second singles match in 9 months, and I couldn't be more blessed that it's against a young man like this. It's in front of the Philadelphia audience, and we're here at the SPO.
Yeah! SPO! 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 SPO!
Shake his hand!
Shake his hand! Shake his hand! Shake his hand! Shake his hand! Shake his hand! Oh, come on! Oh, okay. That's fair! That is fair! That is fair! That is fair! That is fair! Good. Oh, nice. All right. Oh, nice.
Let me get one!
Yeah! Woo! One more time.
Give it to him, baby!
Woo! Turnabout.
Let's go, Jordan!
Let's go, Jordan! Let's go, Jordan! Let's go, Jordan!
He was pointing back and forth as we were doing it.
Woo! Oh! My liver. Come on, Ryan! One. Let's go, Jordan! Let's go, Jordan! Let's go, Jordan! Yeah! Yeah! Oh! Oh! 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10! Turn him! Go, Jordan! Let's go, Jordan! Let's go, Jordan! Let's go! Come on. Go. Ryan! Let's go, Jordan! Look out, Jordan! Uh-oh. Here we go. Here we go. Woo. Woo.
He's gonna have Kofi chest after this.
Yeah. Boy. Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. That, of course, was our match of the night from the last SPO episode. That was
that match was.
Yeah, Flying Ryan O'Neal versus the returning Jordan Oliver in only his second match back after ACL surgery, which, yeah, I know all too well about now thanks to my dog. But Barry's on the recovery, watching Jordan Oliver compete. You know, my dog's going to be fine taking his walks.
Yeah, what a match. We don't have it loaded up, but we have a photo of his chest about 2 hours after that of Ryan's chest.
Yeah, it was just
those chops, man. Oh my God.
The photo doesn't even do it justice to what those chops did to his chest. Like you had an idea from the picture, but you could already see it, just red welts from handprints all across his chest. It was pretty amazing, actually, to see up close and in person. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, DG, you might want to unmute yourself if you want to be heard. No, doesn't want to be heard. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. We'll just keep talking then. So, BJ,
I thought he was gonna I thought he was gonna cut a pipe bomb, so I cut his mic.
Yeah. Speaking of pipe bombs, something else I missed apparently this week.
Well, I guess we could start off with that, talking about SmackDown, which is something we
Sure.
talked about. This All-Star was. It seems like they're going to go right down the CM Punk path with Cena and twist history a little bit.
Mhm.
Yes, that is a Bruce Banner. That is.
Yep.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
back after the break.
We're the break's done. There we go. Now you can follow us on Instagram.
if you use Instagram. If not, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, follow us here. Wherever you're watching us now, make sure you keep following us, please. Thank you. We appreciate
And have
everybody.
a nice day.
Follow us on places where we don't even have accounts, please.
Follow our fake accounts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Follow the bots impersonating us.
If there's bots impersonating us, somebody's using the whole system wrong.
No, that's
artificial stupidity.
That's like a level of success for me personally. If someone was like had a bot account,
the BJ bot,
I'd be like,
that's something else.
Just
We've
deep
really
faking
made it.
us for a channel.
It would probably have more followers than our account.
That's the sad truth.
Wrestling.
So anyway,
Back to wrestling, yes.
yes. So a couple
Please.
the pipe bomb Cena promo, which I would like to say they're literally almost repeating history, just to the fact that when the original pipe bomb happened, does anybody remember who was in that main event of Raw that night?
Along with Cena?
Yes.
No,
Who was
I do
Cena's
not.
opponent? R-Truth.
No. Ah, okay.
14 years later, the repeat pipe bomb. What was the main event? John Cena versus R-Truth.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Makes sense.
And so, BJ, what were your thoughts on Pipe Bomb version 2.0?
It needed to happen. It was excellent. Some of the points he made were great. It was just my only problem with it. It was a little too manufactured as compared to the original, where it felt a lot more organic. You know what I mean? It was just like you could tell, like Cena had like a team of people working on this,
as opposed to CM Punk, who felt more improvised with it, just natural.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because when CM Punk's happened, we now know, he was handed the mic and told, go out there, we'll just cut you off when we think you've gone too far. But
so Cena was
never
essentially
happened.
handed a blueprint for a fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and they used what that was, because he hits practically every stat line from that he needed to hit.
He said, if you're not the voice of the voiceless, you're a millionaire.
Even
this isn't the first cover song we've heard Hunter play on, WWE since he's taken over. So,
oh yeah.
As this meme points out, he pointed out Claudio Castagnoli, Matt Cardona, and Nick Naaman, which were also, I believe, all names that Punk drops during his promo with their WWF or WWE names then. Which, as you can see from this meme, people trying to put together, he was actually shouting out Colt Cabana and Matt and Nick Jackson.
Yes, Charlie, of course.
Very loose connection there.
Could be a connection. Could also just be he was shouting at Claudio Cardona and Nick Nemeth.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
using
yeah.
the same names that Punk used, just with their new names.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going to say I felt like it necessarily needed to be done, but if they're going to follow it, it does put the interesting perspective because now everything's twisted,
Mm-hmm.
and it is still surprising that CM Punk's going to have a match in Saudi.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Completely selling out his morals that he had espoused. But whatever. I guess there's money to be made, right? There's a championship belt to potentially be won.
or they
Yeah,
have,
Punk's not there to make friends. He's there to make money.
Mm.
Yep. I'm very much looking forward to for where the rest of this goes. I just feel like the one moment we won't get will be Cena leaving through the crowd. Because we don't really see that style of entrance
Not from
in the
Cena.
Saudi shows. Coming through the crowd. I don't
That
think I've
too.
ever seen it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's a
we
Saudi show. I
never.
wouldn't
We
think
haven't
he
even
would.
seen Jey Uso come in through the crowd in Saudi.
So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But at the same time, it's not like Cena's leaving the WWE now. We're still 6 months away from that.
Right. Yeah, well, it's 16 appearances to go, something like that.
I'm not sure. That might be just over 20 still. We might be at that
No,
20
we're
mark.
under 20. We are definitely under 20.
He counted him down
Yeah.
last appearance.
Yeah, he was down to 19 at the one that he counted down at. So we're down to like 16 now, I think.
Well, I assume he's going to have a match at SummerSlam because, and that's if a SmackDown star wins King of the Ring as well, because that would automatically determine his opponent. The winner gets a world title shot from their respective brand.
Right. Yeah, that's the stipulation that they've now attached to King and Queen of the Ring, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
you got to make it mean
yeah.
something because the
Yeah.
king or queen title doesn't mean anything.
No, no, not unless you're King Xavier.
That was dope.
But well, speaking of King and Queen of the Ring, after Monday night, all the Fatal 4-Ways are done, and now we've moved on at SmackDown to the semifinals for each tournament. And the first one we got was Asuka versus Alexa Bliss, with Asuka picking up the win in a very good match of a battle between two former tag team who were women's tag team champions together.
And both of them recently returning, and so yeah, okay. I'm sorry I missed that match, but yeah, it sounds like it was good.
It was a pretty good match.
Yeah. Asuka looks great coming back. Alexa looks great. But that's not the end of Alexa Bliss throughout the night, because we see her again later in the show continuing whatever the storyline is with Charlotte. And we see them in a backstage interaction that somehow leads to Chelsea versus Charlotte, which they put on a really good match too,
Yeah.
I have to say.
Okay.
And Alexa Bliss comes out during the match to help Charlotte after the match, getting beat down by Chelsea and the Secret Hervis.
Okay. Interesting.
And Charlotte just walks by her, and like she extends her hand and just walks by. Alexa Bliss tried shaking hands with her. So it looks like somebody on the roster's trying to reach out, and because Charlotte really doesn't have any friends in that locker room right now.
No, none. Since she's come back, and yeah, ever since the Rumble, yeah, nobody wants to associate with her. She's on an island, but Alexa's trying to reach out, and she's snubbing her. What are you going? Yeah, hey, I like Steven's idea there. Charlotte versus Alexa at SummerSlam.
And then we had the King of the Ring first semifinal match. When, wow, did Randy Orton and Sami Zayn put on not just a great match, but that match had an amazing ending to it. The last, like, maybe, what was it, maybe 90 seconds of the match with the missed haluva kicks, the missed RKOs. Like, they really did the end of that match really well.
Cool. So, who won it?
Randy Orton advances, which means now we are moving on to this, whatever this whole Karrion and Sami Zayn thing's going to be now, which I'm hoping they have a match on Monday night.
We'll see.
I'm definitely hoping for that.
I won't see, but you'll see.
So Randy Orton advances to the finals for Night of Champions, and we will find out his opponent as well as Asuka's opponent on Monday night with Jade Cargill and Roxanne.
I fully expect Jade to win that.
Yeah, Jade Cargill versus Roxanne, and then Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso.
That one's more interesting.
Which, as we all know, I wanted that match at WrestleMania. I wanted that crowd tore apart, but whatever. It makes more sense Cena having the WWE title.
Would love to see the Cody heel turn happen here.
Apparently, speaking of that, something interesting that was floating around was that The Rock actually pushed for the Cody heel turn to happen instead of Cena, and they don't.
Yep.
I think we're going to start getting to that point now. And it's going to depend on, because two of the most over guys in WWE right now is Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, and having those entrances back to back, and the fans actually possibly booing somebody for doing something in this match that they don't like. Like, let's think about it. Could the crowd have a bit of a chip on their shoulder because of Jey Uso's short title reign, and they're going to want to get behind him more than Cody? Because Cody has kind of not gone down.
He had his peak. Yeah.
After finishing the story. And then plateaued and then kind of evened out to where he's still way over.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, no question.
Not as over as he was during the chase to finish the story.
Still a very high plateau. Still at a very high plateau. Let's go to the comments here real quick. Look at Stephen Chambers' last one there. The note Roxanne with Naomi interference. Okay, the one right before that one. Yep.
Well, that's
there
what
we go.
were talking about.
Yeah. We had skipped it. I want to explore the potential of that. What does it look like if Roxanne actually does win that match against Jade? So, and then goes on to the Queen of the Ring finals.
Also, why would Roxanne interfere in that match?
Well,
Naomi would be.
Naomi.
Naomi
and Jade in there.
Just to screw Jade, because they still kind of have beef with each other. But right now, Naomi's in the bigger spot. She wouldn't want the person who could defeat her.
Oh, I see. Okay,
but as we speculated before, I think that Jade should win Queen of the Ring. Jade beats Tiffy. Naomi cashes in on Jade, and now we have that whole triangle with Nia maybe still involved of a chase to the championship, especially going into Women's Evolution. You could set up a fatal four-way out of it.
Their Money in the Bank cash-in interaction on Friday was just great. Very well done.
Yeah. I love how Nia is sitting there like, no, you're not taking the opportunity to be the one to end this championship.
Tiffy laid out in the ring.
Speaking of, real quick, other comments from Steven. I could see Charlotte versus Alexa at SummerSlam. I could see that.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then one I had brought up that unfortunately Cody versus Jay cannot end in a no contest because it's a King of the Ring tournament match. There must be a winner. If that match ends in a no contest, that means Randy Orton automatically wins King of the Ring.
Yeah, you can't have a semifinal with nobody coming out of it for Randy to face. And then that one right after there, what if Bianca shows up during that whole Jade and Roxanne thing? If Naomi shows up, if Bianca shows up, yeah, that turns into a whole just Destiny's Child triple threat. I love it. Love what we're calling that. That's one. Milky.
Brian Milky, how you doing, sir?
So yeah, officially
know,
that's the name of this, the Destiny's Child feud.
Yeah, but then you throw
Another
Nia
thing-
in, and I don't know what it becomes.
Another interesting segment we had was
Vogue.
the Solo and Jacob Fatu segment this week.
Yes.
Oh boy, that
What do we
was
got going on there?
absolutely great. The setup for Jacob Fatu defending the championship against Solo,
Nice.
because that's where all
Alright.
this started. You know,
Yeah.
Solo
talked. Go ahead.
Solo came out and gave Jacob a chance to come out and say he loves him, make up for how he's wronged him, and that didn't go well.
No, Jacob say he hated him again.
Yeah, well, they set up the match.
Okay.
The segment set up the match.
Okay. All
for,
right. Cool.
Was it Money in the Bank or?
Yes. No,
No, Money in the Bank's
it
done.
started.
I'm-
Yeah, Money in the Bank started it, but
Money in
with this,
Night of Champions.
Too many shows.
yeah. So essentially, they just talked about how Solo was the only one who saw anything, and Jacob was the one to bring him in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jacob calls him out like none of this started until I won the championship. So if that's what
Right.
you want, that's all you had to say. So he lays the championship out between them, and then he has to Solo goes for the spike. Fatu blocks it, headbutts him, and then we get Mateo coming out and jumping him.
Of course.
And then, but interesting enough, we get Jimmy coming out making the save for Jacob.
Huh. Okay.
But so there's definitely some interesting dynamics being built here.
Yes, there are.
For another Samoan struggle on WWE programming, which whatever, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Everybody
The
can do the
Bloodline
same.
story still doesn't end.
The
Look,
Samoan struggle sounds like a tag team.
Look,
They're
listen,
just depressed.
in the end, I'll completely be a mark. 100% for it, because for whatever reason the matches are entertaining, and that's why I'm watching, is to be entertained.
Yeah, that's the whole reason.
Stephen Chambers with an interesting point in chat there. Solo. There we go. Solo winning the U.S. title with the help of Hikuleo, who we have not yet seen on television, but he has debuted at.
It was last week's SmackDown last week. Yeah, we talked about it last week.
As
the bloodline turns. Absolutely.
The soap opera version. Samoan soaps.
Hey, what up, Wyatt?
And it looks like LA Knights is going to be feuding with Seth Rollins, at least temporarily going forward.
Okay.
But what we had a lot of stuff set up for next week's SmackDown also in Riyadh. Because next week we have Zelina defending the Women's U.S. Championship against Julia. We have the Wyatt Six, Gacy and Loomis taking on the Street Profits for the Tag Team Championships. We have
What do you think happens here? Do you think they put the gold on the Wyatts already?
Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Instead of having them just run around,
why not?
Just
because look at what their return has done. Literally, that whole division was feuding within itself, and now they're all united. So how much more does that push everybody now to get to the Wyatts, because they all want the championship?
Yeah.
Speaking
of Wyatt Six, Wyatt Wrestling's in the chat now too.
Do we think WWE will still go? So I assume may not go due to the. As of right now, I just read something about it. that about as much as I will talk about, because politics also involved with all that, that everything is still set in motion to go. They are still setting up there. But at this point, if they had to not do the show there because it would just be too dangerous, where do they move the show to? The Performance Center?
Well, I will
Like-
also
like-
remind everybody that Saudi Arabia is not Iran.
Yeah.
Like,
But I
there's
mean,
a few countries in between them, so
but
that's
I mean, just
fine.
the idea of Middle East, everybody wants. If Saudi gets, oh God, I pray that never happens.
I want London to have one way before Saudi.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But just real quick, as we were talking, I don't think it would do anything bad to the division. It just would suck that the Street Profits wouldn't have a long reign. But I think you let the division work back up to the championships, and we can have some crazy multi-team match at SummerSlam. Maybe you get one more team to throw in there, and you bring you do a special, bring the Elimination Chamber, do a tag team Elimination Chamber match. There's only been one, and the women are the only one that have ever done it. So it would be interesting to see the men maybe do that. Maybe a tag team scramble match, something different.
Maybe a tag gauntlet match where the Wyatt Six started off and they got to run everybody in the tag division.
Yeah. You guys think Julia takes the title off Zelina?
Yeah.
The women's US title?
Yes, I hope she does actually.
Yeah.
I mean, another one of that things to where it's like,
not that I hate Zelina, but Julia I think is that much better.
She feels transitional.
Yeah. Always.
And especially with the idea of how long it's taken her to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
She is a former Queen of the Ring as well.
Yeah, true. But yeah, her reign was no a King Xavier or even a King Corbin type of reign.
So, I don't have an argument with if there had been like a tag team gauntlet match, but the problem also does become in the situation. Every one of those teams have had championship opportunities somewhere within the last 2.5 months. Now you have the Wyatts who came in and beat one of the top teams who are being considered for a title shot. So in a way, they've wiped out that division more than once before having that match, and they won that match hands down. So, give them the title shot. What's the worst that can happen? At least they had to have a match before being granted the championship match.
Yeah, we ranted about that earlier. We're about an hour past that now.
Hey, we know how things work here. It all comes back full circle. The booking makes sense.
It's coming back around again.
And as the chat is currently talking about, Ryan Milkey and Wyatt Wrestling about the last woman standing match between Tiffy and Nia. And they're talking about the possibility of.
Why don't we bring this all up on the screen here? Yeah.
I was of cash that could we be seeing a Saudi cash in for the women's championship by Naomi?
It's possible.
Yes, it'll be Loomis and Gacy. I'm not sure about the Freebird rule, but
probably not. Like
I could see it though if you were to do it just with Eric Rowan.
Yeah, but
like
Rowan, I don't think it's going to actually compete much in ring.
No, he seems like a enforcer mascot type of thing.
Yeah, he's a big scary guy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he doesn't really need to wrestle. I'm not sure. He's definitely past his wrestling prime. He doesn't have anything to really prove in the ring. I don't think he's going to be getting a championship anytime soon. Not even like a Intercontinental or United States shot. I don't. Yeah, he could fill in as if one of the tag guys like Loomis or Gacy were to get injured, I could see him stepping in as the fill-in for that second half. But I don't see him being like the solo guy doing wrestling. That's Bo Dallas's side of it. And then Nikki Cross, I really want to see her start getting active on that women's circuit. Yeah, bring her
think-
in there. Get her going.
I would love for them to have her start going after Alexa.
Yeah.
Let's just remember,
We had the teases.
Yeah, well, not just that though. Alexa turned on her to join the Fiend initially. So now it would be, if you're not going to bring her into the group, Alexa into the group, what better way to bring her in? Yep. So what better way to have that feud? Because then you can also have Bo involved in that feud as a mouthpiece,
a directing force. Yes.
Yeah. Nikki Cross
I'm sorry. I would love it if Alexa and the Wyatts never crossed paths and just never got involved, because everybody's so convinced that it's going to happen eventually. Just like they were so convinced that Braun Strowman was going to be a part of the Wyatt Six, and he's gone now. I would love it if their paths never crossed and everybody's just like, but, nope, you're done.
You know, here comes my issue with that is, all right, if that's going to happen, it doesn't help that Alexa still carries that doll and has
it's just another thing that gets people like, she's gonna, we're gonna, nope.
To have that doll, just to have that thought, for you to have what you want and that thought to disappear, those things have to disappear. Otherwise, it's always a constant thing in the face that, hey, this could eventually happen.
Yeah, and that's what I want people to always speculate, but I don't want them to get, just like, there is no Sister Abigail. Oh, Alexa's Sister Abigail. Oh, this person's going to be Sister Abigail. Nobody's Sister Abigail. Bray Wyatt was literally Sister Abigail. That's the only person who's ever played Sister Abigail. That wasn't a thing. It's a dead person you're talking about. Like, you people don't listen. Like, I'm sorry.
Hey, listen, we don't talk about dead people on this show, all right? Because the terms with dead people in wrestling will flash a lot of people back to the mid 2000s, all right? And that's all I'm saying there at that point,
Katie Vick.
all right?
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I wish you the best in all your future endeavors. So in the chat at the moment, we have a bit of a debate going on in this chat at the moment about the Wyatts, whether the Wyatts need the titles or not. It's not the fact that about the aura being gone, as Ryan has said. Sometimes it's not a matter if a team needs the titles or not. It's advancing the storyline. And right now, they're coming in, taking out everything, and that whole division's united against them.
Mm-hmm. If they're a threat to the whole division and they have the titles that everyone wants and everyone needs to chase them, that gives them all the power and all the storylines that you could ever need for them.
Now,
and,
do they?
They can build mystery through every one of those storylines. It's just a question of doing it well, and I think that they could if given the chance.
Yeah. I'm not going to say I think personally the Wyatts need gold to be interesting? No, I don't think they need gold by any means. They don't need interesting. They're also a gimmick that
enhance it, sure.
Yeah, for a short time. It's just like saying another supernatural gimmick. I'll bring up The Undertaker. You know what's the one thing The Undertaker never truly needed in his career was the World Championship. Yeah, because
still
the
had
gimmick. Now, as the Dead Man, as Biker Taker, when he just switched over,
he needed every help he could get.
Difference of opinion there of why. But I'm just saying at that point, that's a version of The Undertaker now. That was kind of like the Ministry version. He wanted gold. He wanted to be on top. So when The Undertaker deemed himself, okay, I'm going to take my throne back, that's when we would see that. Or where it would advance another storyline with him being able to be a good transitional champion. Like the Wyatts can win the titles and lose them without ever actually losing.
Yeah, to Milky's point in the chat there, the last one. Then eventually they lose the belts and look weak. Doesn't every champion eventually lose the belt? But they don't always look weak losing the belt.
So let's just say for instance, let's say they win the titles this week on SmackDown, and then we jump forward to SummerSlam now. and we have, let's just say, a fatal 4-way TLC match, some type of ladder match, some type of multi-person match or multi-team match where they don't have to take the pinfall. If they're and by the rules of the world of pro wrestling, if you don't take the pinfall, you're not the one looking weak in the end.
Right.
We say
Exactly.
that all the time across the board. Like sometimes you see it's booked, things are booked purposely. Like let's just say you were put Gunther in a fatal 4-way, right? And Jey Uso was to win the title by, say, pinning Sami Zayn. Gunther doesn't look weak. He was just taken out long enough for it to happen.
Right. That's not him looking weak.
Like, if anybody looks weak, it's when you plan a short title reign for somebody like Jey Uso to purposely put the title back on somebody and give the first championship match to effing Goldberg.
And this is why I'm not watching WWE program until at least a week after Saturday Night Main Event.
Like, if we're going to talk about people looking weak, how's it going to look regardless of the situation if Goldberg successfully beats Gunther in 5 minutes and then gets cashed in on by Seth Rollins?
That'd be pretty weak looking of Gunther.
Yeah, Gunther. That's where now you start looking at like, oh, Gunther had a 3-week reign as champion just to drop the belt to Goldberg for Goldberg to cash in on Seth.
Yeah, that's no sense. That's bad.
The only other way I see it happening going the opposite way to where maybe he wouldn't look weak is Goldberg has a fit of anger after the match and repeatedly spears Gunther until he's done.
It's a retirement match, though, so I don't see Goldberg doing that.
It might not be.
I mean, I hope not.
Well, granted, I didn't watch anything after he came out, so I don't know.
Well, I could also see the idea of a teased cash-in, like we've been seeing with Naomi the last couple of weeks during the Nia Jax and Tiffy segments, which has been really great. I've really enjoyed the idea that Nia wants that championship from Tiffy. It's not just about the championship; it's about taking it from her specifically.
Yes, yeah,
because
Nia wants revenge. Of course, because the way Tiffy cashed in and took it from her, and the whole backstabbing, the way it worked out. Yeah, you can't blame Nia for wanting a measure of justice for herself.
Yeah. So the only other way I can see it working out is maybe, like I said, a tease cash in. Like, let's say Gunther does Goldberg. He beats him in under 5 minutes, right? And like, there's a moment where we've seen it with Gunther when he's a worthy opponent, he kind of gives that respect nod, So you do kind of respect thing. And maybe Seth Rollins in that moment tries to take advantage, cash in, and Goldberg saves Gunther from being cashed in. You send the fans home in Atlanta happy with their hometown guy, even though he lost. Seth Rollins is thwarted from winning the championship, or somebody thwarts him, maybe like LA Knight. So comes out and stops him, or returning Roman. Because there's rumblings now that Roman's going to be returning at some point in the near future now to set up some type of match.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, ticket sales absolutely outrageous for WWE, which is why I will not be going to a WWE show in person anytime soon.
Nah. Ain't nobody got money for that.
I mean, I've discussed the logic behind it, and I'm not going to say they're wrong for what they're doing, because they're going to make the money how they need to make it. And if that's because they have less house shows now, that the ticket for just normal, these weekly events that are televised go up, whatever,
right?
Yeah. It doesn't mean I have to go. I've been priced out.
Yeah.
Really hope Goldberg knocks himself out, hitting his head on the door. Like, yeah, that would be beautiful.
Yeah,
speaking of Night of Champions, we have to wait for the winner of the other King of the Ring match. But who do you think Randy Orton faces? Is it Jey Uso or Cody Rhodes?
Hmm.
And
That
does
is
that
gonna be
person
Jay.
damn
beat
good
Randy?
question. Those are both damn good questions because out of those two potential matchups, either one could go either way. And this third matchup that we're actually looking at this week between Jay and Cody also could go either way. As far as what I see happening, yeah, I think I see Steven Chambers' way. I think I'm seeing Randy versus Cody. I think Cody actually does beat Jay and goes on because that would you got to think about what the crowd in Saudi also wants to see. Randy versus Cody is top of that list, I would say. Not necessarily Randy versus Jay. I don't think that rates quite as highly as Randy versus Cody. So they're looking at the money that they're going to be getting from Saudi for that.
All right, so then if it's Randy versus Cody for you, who wins? Who faces John Cena next? Because that's a SmackDown versus SmackDown final as
It
well.
is. I didn't even think about that part of it. But yeah, I'll stick with that call there. And from there, I am going to go with Cody. I'm going with Cody to try and take the belt off of
Randy
Cena.
losing in back-to-back years. Oof.
Yeah.
At least for you.
Yeah, for me. That for my call at least. That's the way I see it. I think Cody versus Cena is the next way to go if they're going to go that way.
The final is going to be a triple threat. Somehow we're not going to have a decisive winner in Cody versus Jay. It's going to be a triple threat. And Cody wins.
Okay, so still going with Cody, just adding Jay into the mix.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some kind of something that makes the match a no contest, whether it's interference, something will happen, and they'll decide, well, we got to have a winner, blah, blah, blah. We're just throwing you in the final.
Okay. All right. Interesting. What about you, DJ?
I don't like the idea of a non-finish in a match for a tournament because then the final shouldn't become a triple threat. Neither man won, and there's history in the King of the Ring tournament to where that's happened and neither man advanced and the next person got a bye. And you can't have a bye in the finals, which would automatically hand Randy Orton the King of the Ring, which is how it should happen. If there's a draw between.
For example,
I don't like that idea in a tournament.
Cody's tapping, but at the same time, the ref is counting the 3 count, and there's like confusion about it. Maybe like something like that. Maybe not even interference.
Then if I'll say it like this. Now, if it's two referees, like the referee gets knocked out and they have to decide it like that, you restart the match and there has to be a winner. This is a tournament. There has to be a winner. If neither man wins, then
I've seen things like this happen in tournaments before, definitely.
If neither man wins, that doesn't mean that they deserve to advance because neither of them won. You win, right?
But it's the WWE. Rules don't matter.
You win to advance, and it sours the tournament
more to you than WWE.
It sours the tournament. It takes away what
why you don't have to choose in Saudi. You get all 3 of the people. Like I feel like that's a situation where they would break the imaginary rules just for the sake of that pop and that Saudi money.
I get where you're coming from, but if that would be the case, I think it's the wrong call. It's the wrong call.
Oh yeah, well obviously, but when do they make the wrong
decision to make?
When do they ever make the right call? I mean, we have Goldberg fighting for the championship again.
Why can't that be in Saudi?
Cody hasn't turned heel yet. When are they going to make the right call? Wait.
Well, wouldn't Jey Uso defeating Cody Rhodes help drive that?
It would.
Maybe even to a point that somebody comes out and calls Cody Rhodes that match. Because somebody might not want Cody Rhodes back in that spot.
Travis Scott.
I'm just saying, I don't like the
R-Truth.
Why would R-Truth screw Cena or Cody? If anything,
Because
I
he
would
wants to win
expect
the
that
belt off
R-Truth.
Cena.
And he's confused as to how that goes.
We don't know who's driving at that immediate moment. I think we see Randy. I honestly think we see Randy and Jay. But
Yeah.
maybe
Okay.
that's also what I want. I also, at the same time, get the idea that Cena Cody would be the bigger match. But do you want to make it that easy for him to get back to Cena? Just for him to lose to Cena again?
And then this way you also do get your Jay Gunter rematch.
Or do
Maybe.
we get or do we get a Randy?
Or do we
Cena
get Jay
rematch?
versus Goldberg? Because we know that Goldberg has a chance of winning the belt.
Or do we get Jay versus Seth Rollins?
Yeah, there is that.
Because my other issue comes down to, I'm okay with it if it would be SmackDown versus SmackDown for the King of the Ring. You just think it would make sense so that we don't know that
SmackDown
obvious.
versus Raw, right? Yeah.
So I honestly could see it going either way. It's a coin flip, but I'll go against the grain of you guys and go with Jay.
Okay. Whoa.
And I think Jay beats Randy. Possibly, but because either way at this point, that final would become who gets the rematch against somebody that just recently beat them.
Yes.
Right.
And I mean, what would be the bigger match? Let's talk about this real quick. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena in the main event of SummerSlam Night 2, or Randy Orton versus John Cena in the main event of SummerSlam Night 2.
Cody. Yeah, definitely.
Honestly,
You're
I
going to
think-
put Cody over Randy?
Yeah, I'm putting Cody over Randy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the fans would get more behind Randy, considering that his career, Cody still has a long enough time to get back to that championship. Randy, not so much. And we get Cena Orton for a second time.
I'm taking
on
age.
A bigger stage.
Yeah, I'm taking their ages out of it, though. I think like age being a non-factor. I think the crowd would rather see Cody Cena over Randy Cena again.
Also, like Randy really just never has to win the title again. Like he's already Randy Orton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I assume whoever Cena faces at SummerSlam, he defeats.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. Like if I'm looking at and he doesn't need the title anyway, the only other person that would make logical sense would be Cody in the situation. I'm not arguing that. Just for me, that it's a possibility that it could be Randy's last championship match. And last year he also did lose King of the Ring. That's where it tears me too. He's gotten back to the finals of the King of the Ring a year later. Did he learn from his mistakes against Gunther? And, like, we could still get there. And eventually, let's just say, for instance, whatever reason, Orton wins the championship. And then we get Orton and Cody. Something we wanted for this past WrestleMania with a whole year of teases of Orton just glaring at that championship belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, like, the options open up to where you could still have Cena, or you do something just where somehow Cena will get the belt back. But whatever. I just think just the idea of WWE is really putting emphasis on things that we might not see again in the near future. Like an unexpected Randy Orton Cena 2 on his retirement tour.
Mm-hmm.
Would be very interesting as the main event of, because it might be Randy's last SummerSlam main event.
Yeah,
if we're
he
going
is in his 40s, well into his 40s now.
This is one of those years where you could just look and we don't even know what the other opponent's going to be yet, and we're just like, either way, we're getting a great main event out of somebody here. Like, it's either going to be Randy, Cody, or Jay, and we know no matter what, they're three of the most over guys in the company right now. that could be going to SummerSlam for a respective championship match.
Yep.
Like, there's definitely excitement there.
Oh yeah, there's reason to watch, but I've got one big reason to not. Because the Goldberg Saturday. Hey, I'd be fine
Hey,
with
maybe
that.
that's when this will
That-
finally appear on TV.
Yes, they're going to just broadcast that 30 minutes right over top of it. Pirate jack that feed. Yes.
I guess it's one of those times where it's exciting to be a fan, to where we can sit here and confidently say that any of the three men that win this, we probably don't have an argument with winning.
No, I'm fine.
I
with
just
any
feel
of
like,
these
I would just feel like it's a poor consolation prize for Cody and Jay, if so. Because in all honesty, if the Cena doesn't drop the title, I still have it in my head somehow he has one more WrestleMania match. And that there is one more date, and maybe you crown a new champion with him walking away with the title, like they kind of did when Punk initially left in kayfabe, and you have maybe Cody win that and start calling out Cena, like, "Hey, we're going to Vegas." Triple H said it in the thing. We'll double down and do it again. You gave us Roman and Cody 2 years in a row. You know, like one last shot at regaining back the actual WWE championship off of Cena. Before, you know, like, and I would even say you play it down to the point that Cody's not even booked for the show. He's sitting front row like they did with this John Cena Undertaker thing.
Sure. That works.
You know, however they figure out how to do it. But yeah, either way, SummerSlam is going to have probably a hell of a main event. For Jey Uso, it would be a lot to get through, getting past Cody and then Randy. Which is why I think everybody,
a lot.
Which is why I think everybody thinks Randy Cody.
Yeah.
Randy Jey. Cody can
go for it.
Yeah, Cody can
shoot your shot.
So he will get back to the championship. There's no reason to rush him getting there. Yeah. You know, just like it seems like now with Charlotte, and I've gotten this vibe the last 2 weeks. She is at the back of the line now.
Oh, yeah.
Where she belongs.
Yeah, and now we're going to see her work her way back up to the top through that division, which should make for something interesting, and maybe just because that's the fans' problem. Like, you can't complain if she's at the back of the line and works her way back to the front.
She'll win a couple matches and then get injured and be out for 6 months.
You think she becomes enhancement talent?
I hope so.
So apparently I was wrong. The Intercontinental Championship match between Dominic and AJ Styles is at Night of Champions.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense.
So does Dominic retain, or does AJ Styles win the Intercontinental Championship?
Dom retains with help from Roxanne Perez.
A returning Carlito.
Yeah. No. I think I wouldn't mind seeing AJ with the championship, and it would say something to how quick things could fall apart with Judgment Day. Maybe
Judgment Day breakup incoming.
Yeah, like if he's to drop that championship because Liv Morgan's not there and Roxanne somehow screws it up.
Finn will come out to help and screw up.
But no, honestly, I think Dom wins. AJ can get back there. It'll be some type of chicanery that happens.
Yeah, Roxanne Perez in her process of stealing Dom from Liv.
AJ will get hit with a sheet pan of chicken nuggets.
Did anyone notice during the Judgment Day segment this week They had Carlito's metal apple bowl upside down, and they had a little apple drawn on it with a Grim Reaper inside of it.
Yes.
Aw, that's sweet.
Man, hey, at least Carlito got to take the PS5 with him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he'll stay entertained.
So another match we know that's happening. Jacob Fatu defending against Solo. BJ, who do you have?
I want to say Fatu, but whoever was in the chat earlier brought up a good point that Hikuleo has yet to debut, and I think that's something that could definitely interfere with the outcome of that match.
There also could be some returns in that, because I want to say that
the Tongans.
Yeah, I want to say they're ready to go. We also now have Jimmy Uso gang involved in this.
One of the Tongans on Wiki at least is listed as being ready to go, or at least he's not listed as being injured anymore, but one of them still is.
Okay. All right. I got Jacob retaining.
I want to say
it's up to me to break this tie. Jacob or Solo. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of Jacob retaining along with some help from, returning Tongans, Jimmy Uso, and then we get like a bloodline faction war within the bloodline faction war within the bloodline faction war. Just split this off some more.
It's just family. It's a family feud. That's all.
Yeah. Where's Steve Harvey?
I just see that the reason Fatu retains is because Solo, he's playing the Bloodline playbook. Everybody knows the playbook now.
Mm-hmm.
So if Jacob has Jimmy with him, hey, what if Jay loses? Let's just say he loses his match with Randy. This match happens after that. Could we see Jay Uso get involved in this storyline now? And maybe a Usos tag team reunion. Maybe. Because at this point, if Jay's not going to be chasing gold, at least as a singles wrestler, it gives him something to do.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, we'll see an Usos reunion, like a full-time Usos reunion, but it won't be until after SummerSlam.
Maybe at SummerSlam?
Could be.
We could
maybe
do
the build up to Survivor Series really solidifies it coming back.
SummerSlam, night one, a multi-man Bloodline rules match.
So every Samoan in there. Even though
thank you, Captain Heel.
A Royal Rumble.
You have an awesome day, sir. We appreciate the kind words. But yeah, so we're all Jacob here.
I believe so. Yeah, it'd be too soon to take it off of him.
And then our main event. So I'm guessing another. Oh, and we'll have the Queen of the Ring finals too. Jade and Roxanne, who wins that and who goes on to face Asuka. I guess I said, you all know I'm for Jade. Having a Jade and Asuka finals really tearing for me, but I still say Jade should win it because I think it makes a really interesting cash-in story.
Yeah, I'm going with Jade all the way through.
Yeah, Jade.
Right. So now to the main event: John Cena versus CM Punk one last time.
Yeah, I'm just taking Cena in this one. I don't think he loses the belt at this point. World title tour on his way out the door.
Yeah.
Cena all day. He's a heel. He's got the heel tactics. You know what I mean? It's one way or another he's going to win this match or leave with the title.
So,
yeah.
I think I ran through most of the news things I had today. But interesting thing here, real quick. Eternal push for LA Knight to be put on Monday Night Raw.
I'm 100% behind this. I firmly believe there are better matches to be had for LA Knight on Monday Night Raw than there have been on SmackDown.
And he's already rattled around in SmackDown for 2 years now. Like it's time to
fresh
freshen it up.
start. Yeah, some fresh
Yeah.
opponents. Maybe there's
Mhm.
one person there he's already feuded with before a little bit because he's having to feud with Rollins in that group now.
Yeah. So I could fully commit to LA Knight being on Raw. Yeah.
All right. And then there was this from when we were talking about who Randy Orton's opponent could be before WrestleMania. I always said Aleister Black. So it looks like he was in thought to be the opponent.
Yeah, it was a good thought. It was a solid thought, but he was already coming back for SmackDown that week. So I think that Joe Hendry was absolutely the right call to have come in there and take that spot. It was the hot guy at the moment, and they struck while the iron was hot, got that lightning in a bottle moment, having him at WrestleMania with the TNA Championship belt around his waist. Yeah, it was a feel-good moment of WrestleMania, and Randy Orton had a good time with it, obviously, and
Yeah.
Joe Hendry got to have his moment on the grandest wrestling stage of them all.
And then I saw this, and it was just entertaining for me. Had a
Should be
guy in a
entertaining for
Stitch
everyone.
costume giving the Logan Paul dummy a chair shot.
Did you see what else happened at that event?
Oh, yeah, there was a confrontation with Cena, Rollins, and Punk or something like that. Oh, another thing that happened there, which I saw on a video last night.
Tom Brady
So,
and Eli Manning.
No, not that one. So somebody with their daughter cosplayed as the Fiend and Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, I did see
And
that.
Alexa Bliss, I guess, saw him or whatever. And they have that little entranceway set up for fans to do and stuff. And she came down, she walked out for her entrance with them.
That's cool.
Things that will make kids fans for life. Just like the Jey Uso doing the Yeet thing with the kids every week. Coming through
Just
the
look at
crowd.
your
Like,
niece
those
as an
kids,
example there.
yeah. Oh yeah, and then just this.
And that kid in that picture there, the bottom kid at the bottom right.
And then there's this.
Yeah. The
wonders
Blue
of
Danger
AI.
Ginger. And
Yeah.
I look drunk or something. I don't even know. Here I am drinking Faygo, and I look drunk. What's up with
Isn't
that?
life wonderful?
What's up with that?
And let's quickly, don't forget, contact about Pro Wrestling Star Academy. Especially if you're in the Philly, New Jersey area. Great
I have a
guys down
plug
there
also.
doing great stuff. Oh, do you? Oh, well,
Plug away.
go ahead. Yeah.
I don't have a graphic right now, but Super Crazy Arena this Friday, the 27th of June at, I believe, 7 o'clock the show starts. I forget what the name of the show is. I don't have this information in front of me right now, but I will be heading down to Super Crazy Arena in Gloucester City for an amazing night of wrestling featuring the likes of Primal Fear, who you might have seen our interview with this past week. Homeless Vaughn will be in the house. Tim Dynamite. I'm forgetting a lot of the names right now, but
I saw a video of Tim Dynamite's belt getting stolen by Homeless Vaughn for getting keep away this week.
Those have been great.
Yeah,
They really have been.
Yeah, they're really doing something special over there. It's super crazy, and I can't wait for the show.
Yeah, and as you said, if you didn't get the chance to see our interview, go check that out. It's on our page. We have a whole playlist of interviews to where that and our Kid Legend interview from Spokecast is. So make sure to go check those out. Yes.
Yeah.
Much more to come.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the outside of the school.
Well, that's not the outside. That's just the banner laid out.
Oh, the banner that's out there.
Yeah, it's out there. And throw out some of the regular plugs that we do real quick. Wyatt Wrestling Club. Go give that a follow on YouTube and Instagram.
Thanks for helping to make the chat lively.
Yes. Eric Lima's Shenanigans of 1977. go give that a shout. Tell him we sent you. And I know I have more stuff here somewhere. There it is. Buzzing with Marlo. Get that down. Where did I find it again? Lots of scrolling, guys. Lots of scrolling.
Scrolly-olio.
And then also go give Wrestle Realm a follow.
I just realized what that reminds me of. It's the Frasier intro.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah, that drawing of the Seattle skyline. Yep.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of with the lettering.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yep.
Oh, yeah. And also, real quick, match of the week.
All right.
Can't forget that. Chef, why don't you give us your match of the week? Because you only have like 3 shows to pick from.
I will give my match of the week, and my match of the week is from AEW Dynamite. It's going to be the MJF versus Mystico match. This match was just a lot of fun to watch, and seeing MJF's heel persona within the Hurt Syndicate on full display in this match, when he goes and snatches the mask at the end, puts it on, and just gives no respect whatever to the Mexican crowd. Yeah, this is going to be the beginning of another level of MJF's, another one of MJF's peaks that he's going into right here, I feel. And this match really helped showcase him going into that peak.
All right. BJ, your match of the week.
Aleister Black versus Kit Wilson.
It never happened. Thanks, R-Truth.
No, I'm going to go with Asuka Alexa.
All right. You know what? Kairi Sane versus Liv Morgan.
Hey, at least that happened.
It only got 25 more seconds. My match of the week, as I'm looking over everything now, I think Randy Orton and Sami Zayn.
That was a really good one too.
I really enjoyed
sequence
the
with all
finish
the haluva kicks and RKOs at the end. Yeah, really good stuff.
Just watching AEW and TNA, I have a lot less to pick through in my brain to figure out my match of the week.
Oh, you didn't watch any MLW or JCW or NWA?
No, I actually have a big stack of books that I picked up this week at the comic shop, so I'm actually still got more reading to do. I'm not done yet. I've been reading through a few a night, and between work and comics, I haven't, AEW and TNA were nice diversions, but it's not like I was focusing all my time watching an extra 8 hours of WWE programming every week.
Anything. I'm looking forward to some of the matches on SmackDown this week, and I'm looking forward to these finals for the King and Queen of the Ring matches, the semifinal matches on Raw.
Cool. Well, let me know how they work out. I'll look forward to talking with you guys next week and hearing all about it.
I'm just hoping Goldberg comes out to cut a promo on Gunther.
Oh, God. And on that point, I think it's time to sign off. Everybody be good to each other.
Ring the bell. Let's get out of here.
And hopefully Ryan Milky wasn't disrespected by the comments this week. Everybody be good to each other. We'll see you next week.
Everybody watching, I'm going to need you to visit www.freakkings.com. Check out all the merch. And before you do that, I'm going to need you to check out PJDG, YouTube and Instagram. And while you're doing that, you won't have to remember the name, because you'll remember the face.